life comes at you fast, especially when you piss off people on the internet, and especially when you piss off people on the internet in regards to video games. Notch unknowingly got into a bit of a Twitter spat with Zoe Quinn. I covered this earlier in yesterday's video, I believe, or the day before that, but it apparently picked up momentum, and people at NeoGAF are talking about it, and people over on social media and on Reddit are talking about it. So I figured we'll take a look at some of the tweets. This is the tweet that kicked everything off. When Notch heard about the developer for The Last Night getting a bunch of backlash for a tweet he sent a long time ago, and he admittedly said he isn't a part of Gamergate. He just identified that it wasn't about harassing women on the internet, but more holding certain journalists accountable for when there was collusion behind the scenes. Ethics in gaming journalism, so to speak. Notch, being the type of person that is well aware of the work and the blood and the sweat and the time that it takes to put a good game on the market, had a lot of sympathy for him. And Zoe Quinn, on the other hand, has, I think, developed an hour-long visual novel, essentially, called Depression Quest. It is not even on the same caliber of art or media as video games at all. Being the professional victim that she is, she screen capped the tweet of Notch saying, "What a cunt," and tweeted it out. And then Notch responded to her, "Stop changing your name. I had no idea it was you. Act like a cunt. Get called a cunt. You were doing so well there for a while." Someone then tweeted at him, "Something is deeply wrong with you," to which Notch replied, "I am truth and freedom. You are a witless pawn of evil." I am your huckleberry, so to speak. LOL, that was Zoe? Doesn't alter my statement, but it undermines any theories that I said it because I disliked the author on a personal level. Another brain-dead idiot tweeted at him, "Yes, you're free to think an abuse victim and harassment survivor is a cunt, and we're free to call you an asshole." To which he replied to them, "Anyone being a cunt is a cunt regardless of horrible events in their past. You don't get a free pass because you got dealt a shitty hand." Yet another charismatic individual, "Hey Notch, go fuck yourself. There are kids who look up to you." To which he replied epically, "Good. I am right." So Notch tweeted a lot out on that day, and it even trickled into today as well. So a lot of people have been talking about this, and the people over at NeoGAF have also been losing their minds. Well, in a couple of forums, I'm just going to show one of them because I don't really want to read through a bunch of NeoGAF if I'm being entirely honest with you. This thread was locked down pretty quickly, but on Twitter and NeoGAF, there are, of course, many, many voices that are saying this ruined their experience with The Last Night, which would have otherwise been a top-notch indie experience, which we don't even know if it would have been worth the excitement, but it does look visually striking. And then there's a lady, presumably a lady, named Maya Felix Kramer, who tweeted out the following: "As developers, collaborators, publishers, we have to vet those we work with. If that sounds too bleak, you're in a position of privilege. We just have to make our entities, companies, and studios have public policies and then hold our collaborators to those policies. We have to. We can no longer afford to say, 'We didn't know,' or 'they seem nice.' Many people haven't had the luxury in a long time. Welcome to 2017. I would urge those who want to see the world grow and progress to make sure they align themselves only with people who share their dreams." Isn't it odd how often people want diversity, but no diversity of thought? The way they see it, we are all in groups, and whatever perceived group you belong to, your entire opinion, your entire existence is based on the stereotypes behind said perceived group. It's really the opposite of what these people were calling for 20 years ago, or even 15 or 10 years ago. The entertainment industry in general is completely taken over by these radical Marxists who generate hatred against, quote, white males and positions of privilege, and these terms that they have just completely made up, came up with, pulled out of their ass, so to speak. You see this? This is what a child raised by television looks like, specifically MTV, very likely. There's this myth that is no doubt held in the minds of a lot of these crazy elitists that all artists, all people in the entertainment industry, not only do they think alike, but they should think alike and push forward their vision of a utopia through their art. These actors, actresses, and writers believe that they represent not only America, but what America should be, in their opinion. And they're so high off their own fucking farts that they actually pat each other on the back week after week in award shows, in public appearances. That's all it's about. And it just makes matters worse, especially because it's well known and well established that if you're, say, an actor, you can't be an open conservative in Hollywood. You will not find work. The way you get work in Hollywood, according to a few people I've heard, is friends. You have to know people. You have to know a guy who knows a guy, and you got to make sure that everyone you know. And this notion of all artists think alike and we all believe in the same principles, it creates this echo chamber, and it makes things worse and worse and worse the longer people stay in said echo chamber, because they are not fortifying their defenses against new ideas that they don't quite understand because they've been in an echo chamber for years. So in order to discover truth, you have to take your truth and compare it to the truth of another person and try to come to a middle ground. That's just the way reality works. If you are unable to share your truth with somebody because you believe that they're a Nazi when very clearly they're probably not a Nazi, none of us can achieve truth. This is a lose-lose-lose for everyone involved. And on top of that, it changes what would otherwise be art into a piece of propaganda, which, to be honest, is the opposite of art. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I'm about done with this topic, at least for now, but I'll talk to you all later.